tonight's Tanya, which was recorded in 2 parts due to technical situations. So the first part, which concludes the first strategy in removing this illness, this spiritual illness of a stone-like, deadened, I don't care, I don't feel heart. We concluded that, discussing how we are going to think the thoughts that will emotionally crush us, to crush the evil inside. And in the second part, we began the second strategy of pouring emotion, pouring anger on the evil inside of us that's creating so much harm, that hurts us and doesn't allow us to perceive God. And as we pour that anger, we actually remove the energy we normally use to sustain this negativity inside of ourselves. And it's amazing what happens as a result. Stay tuned, and I hope you enjoy this first part. All right, so we are starting, and we're up to chapter 29. I mean, we're in the middle of chapter 29. We're actually towards the end of chapter 29.
Maybe one video.
And last week, we finished the we finished the last thought, not last week, of course, actually 2 weeks ago. We concluded the thought of the
Giddy, I sent him the resume.
So what we mean by that is that the person in chapter 29 is struggling with Timtum Halev, with feeling nothing, with his heart being very stone-like. And you'd think, oh, if you don't feel anything, so add more inspiration, pour on more fuel, more godliness, more light, more fire, more power. And we're told, no, not in this case. This case is a real problem here. And what you need to do actually is smash the evil that's the barrier to your heart. You have to smash the energy of the evil, of the animal, of the evil inclination that's blocking your heart. And then you'll be yourself. You'll feel your soul will be shining. So we're not worried that you need more fuel. What you need to do is get rid of that barrier. But how do you smash an animal soul? You can't touch it. You can't put it in your hands. How do you smash it? You said, oh, for people besides the very, very holy tzaddikim, the most godly, but for everyone else, their animal and themselves, their heart and their animal energies are like great friends, interwoven. So if you smash emotionally, I've seen it physically, but if you emotionally crush your heart, you'll be crushing the animal energy in your heart. And when you crush the animal energy in your heart, you'll be able to feel. So how do you crush yourself? So the first approach that we're coming to the very end of is think those thoughts that are crushing. Now, being that the person, the example, the model of this concept in our chapter is a very holy person. It's a very godly person. So what we need to think is something that even could crush such a holy person. So we say, well, okay, yeah, you're perfect. You never do anything wrong. You never say anything wrong. You never think anything wrong. But you desire. You have those subconscious desires that come up, and then you don't allow yourself to think them. But you desire the opposite of God's will. That's pretty disloyal. That's pretty sad. That's not really appropriate for such a person who is seemingly so in sync with God to desire that which God hates. So that was the first thought, of which there are, of course, many pieces that we discussed. The second thought was, think back to your youth. There were grievous sins you could have done then. Yes, you repented. But repentance is as per the person, the time, and the place. And maybe at this moment, especially considering the fact that this evil has managed to get such a grounds on you that it's blocking you from feeling, it's very possible those sins of your youth have come back to haunt you, have come back to be a barrier between you and God. And that's why the evil has this ability to block you from feeling. So that's a pretty crushing thought. But if you never had such sins, and you don't really have such desires against God, so we have a third thought. be a master accountant, an accountant of his own books. And as a master accountant, scrutinize everything you can remember your entire life, your entire existence, every thought, every feeling, every sensation, every word, every action. Were they all for God? Maybe not, but it was a long time ago. It was a very minor thing. No such thing. Because if they weren't all for God, that means you opened yourself up to this like chamber, this energy, which can now and does send you all this unwanted desires, thoughts, feelings. So even if what you didn't seem so bad, but the fact that you now have a connection, there's a bridge between you and these chambers above, means it has a latch on you, means it's sending a lot of negative stuff. And if that doesn't work, the final thought we said was, and this is what we discussed the entire last class, analyze your dreams. Analyze your dreams. Are all your dreams so godly? Maybe, because a very godly person, his dreams are godly as well. And we discussed at length this idea last time, how secrets of Torah can be revealed in dreams, how you can see a vision of tzaddikim in dreams. Dreams can be very spiritual or not. Or dreams could just be venting the accumulation of debris of the day. Or dreams could be worse. And it could be negative forces that are getting to you in your dreams. So analyze your dreams. You could say, my dreams, I'm responsible for my dreams. How can I possibly be responsible for my dreams? I'm sleeping. True, we know you're sleeping. But the fact that you have these dreams, that in of itself could imply that things are not as they should be. Because if they were, you wouldn't have these dreams. Okay. So we are going to continue. So we are in chapter 29, as I said. And I see what's with my computer. I hope it doesn't give us problems because for some reason it's not charging properly. So I think I need to order a new plug quickly, but hopefully this will last for the class. And if not, we'll have a different solution. Okay. So we are on page Lamed Zayin. If you're looking inside exactly where it says Aleph, for Adar of a simple year, or you can count 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 lines from the top. V'hine, behold, kol ma sheyarech b'yanim elu machshavto. Now the Rebbe says, I just listed these ideas for you. Of course, there was many details in the list, but I just sketched it out for you. But if you really want these ideas to affect you, and you want to be emotionally broken, crushed, to the degree that you're crushing the evil inside, interwoven with your heart, you have to really, really get into them. You have to really, really think deeply about all of these thoughts. The Gabiyuna B'Sfarim, and you can also learn about them. Now, again, just parenthetical, we've said this before, but I'll say it again to remind everyone. If you were walking this road, this problem, this stone-like heart, we're going to be discussing for the next several chapters. And the Rebbe has 3 strategies how to just remove it. 2 in chapter 29, the bulk of 29 is the first one. The end of 29 is the second one. And the third one is the entire chapter 30. But if a person said, yeah, I have this problem, I just don't feel. Everything's like, whatever, blah. And I want to remove that barrier. So I'm going to think the thoughts that will crush me emotionally to remove the animal soul's hold over me. You don't necessarily have to think these thoughts that we're listing here. These thoughts are appropriate for this person who's, as we said, a Beinoni. Such a holy person. Never does anything wrong, never says anything wrong, never thinks anything wrong consciously. So the Alter Rebbe had to work a bit to come up with thoughts that could emotionally break a Beinoni. We are not Beinoni. We probably would have a much easier time coming up with thoughts that are crushing. So if you were walking this road, you might choose to think the thoughts that the Alter Rebbe enumerates, to stick with the text as much as possible. You could also add or change and scripting your own. That's completely fine, and that's completely loyal to the approach. The approach is to think things that will emotionally crush you. You could think these things, you could think these things plus, you could not think these things at all. We have many things we could think about that would emotionally crush us. But the point the Rebbe is saying here is true for us, as well as for this very, very, very holy person that is suffering now with this stone-like condition in our chapter. What's the same is, it's not enough just to like go through the thoughts. You have to really, as we say in Yiddish, ligzich, reinlegen sich. You have to really, really deeply immerse yourself in them. So whatever thoughts you're going to choose to think about, again, it's not like a peripheral thought or a list that I check. I have to really, really, really get into the thought very intently, very deeply, because otherwise it's not going to reach and grip my heart and shatter my heart the way I want it to, because I want my heart and the animal interwoven with my heart to be very, very shattered. So that's what the Rebbe is saying here. Lios libo nishbar bekirbo, for his heart to be very, very broken inside of him. V'nivza be'einav nimas, to feel very, very lowly in his own eyes. Hakasuv, as it's written, v'tachlis hamias, with the absolute degree of, and the Rebbe here uses a very strong word, disgust. V'limos chayav mamash, to literally be disgusted with his life. Hare bezeh mema'es umevaza hasitra achra. Why do you want to be so disgusted? Because in essence, what you're being disgusted with now is those forces of evil inside of you that are gripping you, that are suffocating you, that are giving you this stone-like condition. Umashpila la'afar. So you take that force of evil and you smash it to the dust. Umarida megdulasa. You draw her down from her greatness meaning this way that she's blocking all the light in your life. She's become very big. Well, you're smashing her down from that high post. The gasus rucha, her pride. The gevuhasa, her haughtiness. Shebagbia es atzma al or kedushas nefesh elokis, that she has made herself so big, like your finger can block the sun, that she's blocking the light of your godly soul. Umachashich oyra, she's darkening her light. Or to darken her light. So that is the first approach. The strategy again is think. You have to use your mind. It works better for a more intellectually focused person. The second approach is easier for a very hot-tempered, emotional person. But to really deeply, deeply think the thoughts that will crush you, to crush the evil inside of you. That is the approach. That is what we are trying to do in this section, because you could say, whoa, that's so intense. That's so harsh. That doesn't sound very Hasidic. It is intense. It is harsh. It doesn't sound very Hasidic. But the idea is you're in a really hard situation. It's like, I always think of it like it's chemotherapy is horrible for your body. It's not something anyone will want to ever take, and no doctor would recommend you to take it unless you're sick with something far worse. So this approach is harsh. This approach doesn't seem very Hasidic and warm and loving and positive, but you're very sick. And when you have such an illness, you need very harsh medicines. And then we're going to spend the entire chapter 31 as like the mop-up job for all the, the aftermath, for all the side effects of this very intense cure. So yes, there are side effects. Yes, this is harsh. Yes, there'll be work you need to do to clean up from this cure, but it's a bad situation, so you got no choice. So when we're looking at this, of course, like we look at everything in Tanya, we want to think, so how do I apply this to my own life? What am I looking here and seeing? Does anyone, as we're learning this, of course, I'm stopping now because we finished this first approach, so we're still in the middle of the chapter, that anyone saw applications to their life that they were able to apply from this section, from this concept in Tanya?